Welcome to the DMV Business Show. I'm your host, Otto Sevilla, and today I have a very special guest for you, Alex Kutsishin. Alex is the co-founder, CEO, and chief ROI booster at Sales Boomerang. Welcome to the show, Alex.
Thanks for having me on, Otto. This is awesome.
Thank you. It is really my pleasure. You're doing some awesome things there in the lending industry. For the audience who may not know what or who Sales Boomerang is, if you can give us just a general overview, please.
Sure. Yeah. So we Sales Boomerang launched in February, actually on Valentine's Day of 2017. By design. Maybe we can get into that conversation. That was a really cool reason for that. So we launched in 2017, and with the mission, and actually I wear it on my shirt right here, as you can see. No borrower left behind. Our mission is to make sure that every borrower is in the right loan right now, and they are not being left behind for any reason. Right? They always have a financial friend they can rely on. So what do? How do we create that? So what Sales Boomerang does is we tell lenders, banks, credit unions, mortgage lenders, when someone in their database is ready for a loan and which loan they're ready for. And some of the biggest benefits from that is, number one, no more spam, right? You're not getting emails, text messages, phone calls, letters to try and sell you something. You're only hearing from your financial friend, your lender, when they know you can benefit from something, and then it becomes your choice, right? It becomes your option of what you want to do. So it's low pressure, all about value, all about friendship, and making sure that the consumer feels like they have somebody on the other side.
That's awesome. I can't wait to get into all that, how you find all that,
Yeah.
and know when is the person ready to move forward.
Yeah.
Before we go into all that detail, are you originally from the DC, Maryland, Virginia area, or where did you grow up? Where were you born?
So I was born actually in Kyiv, Ukraine. My parents came here in 1990. I was 7 years old when we got here, and we moved right to the Baltimore area. Landed in New York, came down to Baltimore. So I've been here now, 32 years, yeah, in the ball. But this month will be the last month because we're getting ready to move to Boulder.
Oh, really?
Yeah. I mean, we'll still have family here, and we'll still have a place here, but our primary residence is going to be Boulder.
I love Ukraine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So are you fluent in? I assume you're fluent in Russian.
Fluent in Russian. Yep. Yes.
Ukrainian?
No, my dad is fluent in Ukrainian and
Okay.
Russian, but not me.
My wife was also born in Kyiv, and I've been to Kyiv myself.
Oh, cool. See, you probably know more about it than I do because I was too young to remember all the fun things about that city. So, and I have not been back yet.
Really? Oh man, you have to go back.
Yes. I especially my brother-in-law with his big heart. They just adopted a child from Ukraine last year, I believe. Yeah, I think it was last year. Was it 21 or 20? I can't remember. Either end of 20 or sometime in 21. Maybe it was 20. They adopted some, and he was there 3 times in 1 year because you have to go through the whole process. And they went. The last time I think they went for was like 7 to 10 days, and he was telling me nonstop. He's like, Alex, I don't know why you haven't gone back to visit. He's like, I want to live there. He's like, I think that place is beautiful. Odessa, Kyiv. He's like, it's just such a pretty country, and the people are so nice. And I'm like, okay, now you're convincing me. So I will go back.
Yeah, you definitely have to go. I went there. It was a while ago. I think my wife and I were just dating maybe a year or two in the relationship, and she has family back there, and it was gorgeous. I want to go back and take my family and my kids.
Yeah. That was her test. You were with her for a year. She's like, now you have to pass the test. Come to Ukraine.
Yeah, but you should definitely go back. I highly recommend it. Yeah.
I'm hearing that a lot. I will. And I want to go with the kids, and I want to go back to the neighborhood that I was born in and grew up in. And to me, I have these glimpses of this neighborhood, and everything seems so big. And my dad showed me pictures recently of when he went back, 10 years ago or something. And he showed me pictures of the playground that I played. And I was like, no, that's not it. That's too small. It was a huge playground. He's like, no. He was like, it was a tiny little thing. I was like, are you sure? I just remember all these places. He's like, no, it was a tiny little playground. I was like, okay, all right. Well, I got to see it for myself because everything seems so big when you're little.
Alex, I'm just curious, with family, is it, do they call you Sasha or Alosha or?
Sasha,
Sasha,
most
okay.
of the time, Sasha, it's mostly Sasha. Yeah. It's,
Okay.
but now my parents are getting to the place where, I've heard them throw in Alex here and there.
Okay.
Right. Like when they're talking about me to someone and it's an English speaking person, they'll say Alex instead of Sasha.
Okay.
But they used to say Sasha no matter what. Now
Okay.
now they've transitioned over and now it's Alex.
Yeah.
So
My,
yeah,
my,
but
my
it's not,
father-in-law is Sasha as well.
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
80% of people in Ukraine are Sasha. and the other 80% is Zhenya. I know it's impossible to have 160%, but I'm telling you, it's possible. Yevgeny or Zhenya is the other part of it. So it's funny. Yeah. And my brother's name is Zhenya, of course.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
So sorry to sidetrack there. So you come here, you said you're around 7 and you land in New York?
Landed in New York. Yep.
Okay.
So the way it happened was, so we didn't have the typical trip, or maybe it was typical. I'm not sure. So we left Ukraine, and it's interesting because it was one of those situations, Russian Jews leaving when they said, they opened the border, but it wasn't like, hey, come back anytime. It was, if you're going, you're gone. Like, pack your
Oh,
bags,
you're
you're out.
Jewish as well.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
My,
So
my
so
wife,
so
my wife immigrated to Israel after Kyiv. I'm sorry. So
no, it's
yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's beautiful. That's also on the destination list. So it's so what happened was, in it was end of 89. I think it was like right around October when we were leaving. And once they jumped through all the hoops to get out, to actually get the permission to leave, there was, it was a waiting game. So there was like there was 18 pieces of luggage sitting in our small apartment that my parents were going to take with them. Why? They were taking them with them because we weren't flying out. We were taking a train from Ukraine to Austria, from Austria to Italy, from Italy we took a plane to New York. That's how it worked. Okay. And again, I don't know any of this. I don't think my parents even knew any of this. They just said, yeah, we will call you, and when the phone call comes, go to the train station. It was just like, it was like out of a movie. And so the phone call did come at night, in a Russian winter night. Hey, get to this train station. It's like, сейчас, right now. Right. And it's like, yeah, now. It's like, okay, kids, let's go. And they took, and at night, 18 I don't know how they did this. Their friends helped them carry 18 pieces of luggage. And here's the crazy part. We get to the train station. Again, this is all from stories, not from my own personal recollection. We get to the train station, and it's nighttime, and then it gets to midnight, and then it gets into the early hours of the night. Then it's starting to get into morning, and the train is not there still. No train. And nobody's leaving, right? This is their ticket out. They're not going back. They left their apartments. Everybody's said goodbyes. The day comes, no train. The next afternoon, no train. The next evening, finally the train shows up, but nobody's left like nobody's going anywhere. So finally the train comes, but it comes with one cart too short. It was missing a cart. And so all mayhem breaks out, right? Again, I don't remember any of this, but what my parents and their friends tell the story of, people just started tossing their kids into the train first, right? And so it was like kids, they find an open window, throw the kids in. My mom and all the mothers are running into the cart where their kids are thrown into, and then whatever luggage you can get in, you get in, right? Like, that's the kids. The kids and wives are on. Now it's throwing in luggage, and supposedly it was craziness going on behind you. People are arguing, fighting, pushing, right? They all want to get on this train. And so there's an interesting actually connection to that story and this company, and we'll get to that at some point. But that's how our journey started. Okay. And then not too far into the journey, again, this is all from story, but this is interesting how what my parents and a lot of people had to go through to get here. About 24 hours, not even 24 hours, sometime in the middle of the night, again, the train stops in the middle. And my dad tells the story. It was very strange. Everyone got up and, like, there's no train station around. literally in the middle of a field. The train just completely stops. Nobody knows what's going on. And the Austrian army boards the train. And they do what they do. They just start stealing things from people, like just with guns. The whole thing just started picking up things that they wanted and needed. Once they finished getting what they wanted, the train kept going and you end up in Austria. And we stayed in Austria for a month. And then from Austria, took a train to Italy, stayed in Italy for a month in Rome, and then flew to New York. And then from New York, we took a little plane over to Baltimore. And the reason we did that is my dad's childhood friend, his brother came here in the 70s, established himself. And when they said they could open the border, you had to get an invite from another country. You couldn't just leave. You couldn't just be like, I'm leaving.
Yeah.
They need to know where you're going and why you're going. And so they had to get an invite over, and maybe your wife has a similar story, has to get an invite. They got an invite, but the invite was in Baltimore. So many people ended up in New York. My dad's friend's brother had established in Baltimore, and my dad's friend came over in the 80s, right? 10 years after his brother came over. And so that is the family that called us over. So that's how we ended up in Baltimore. We never left. We just sort of planted our roots here and started building a life.
It's funny. My wife's a similar story, but her immigration was from Kyiv to Israel. And then she grew up in Israel for all her teenage years. And then I forgot how old she was, maybe 13. Same thing. My father-in-law, Sasha, had a friend in Baltimore who requested him. And that's how they came from Israel to the Baltimore, to the Maryland area.
It's so cool.
Yeah, very similar. So you grew up in the Baltimore area then, right? And you're what, 8, 9 then, around this time?
So in 1990, I was 7.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, so we got ourselves into an apartment, and it was interesting because the apartment complex that we moved into, which was in an area called Reisterstown in Maryland, it seemed to have been a very popular place for a lot of other Russians that came to Baltimore to go. So there was a community of that I can remember of probably 20 plus families, and which was really great, right? Because it's new, but it's familiar, right?
Yeah.
And my parents aren't speaking English that well. Me and my brother pick up English like this, right? Just put us into a school for a month and we're in it. And so moved into this apartment, and from there, it was a move to a townhouse not too far away. We were there for about a year and a half in the apartment, and then move into a townhouse again, which is really cool, in a community that had another like 10 or 15 Russian speaking families. Again, it was really interesting how it was all, when I think back now, it's very serendipitous, right? You're not exactly, New York is a popular place with a lot of cultures, but Russian speaking, definitely. Philadelphia has some, pretty large community too. And now Baltimore is known as a large Russian community, but it wasn't then, at least I didn't think so. And so we went from being in apartments to moving into a townhouse. And, I watched my parents go from, my mom being doing nails in a salon, my dad driving a taxi, to both of them becoming entrepreneurial, right? My dad opened up a limo company, my mom opened up an interior design company, and then we just started to, live what is considered the American dream, right? And so it all started to move a lot faster once they started to get themselves established. So that was around when I was probably 10 years old that I started to see them do the things that they enjoy doing, not have to do.
Sure.
Right. So
growing up in the Baltimore area, Alex, what were you into? Were you involved, or did you help out here and there with your parents' business, or were you into sports or other activities?
Always been into sports. I laugh about this with my wife a lot. I think I've played pretty much every sport that's possible except for a few. I've done everything, just because soccer being the number one sport, and then you literally start naming sports: baseball, basketball, football, wrestling, jiu-jitsu, skiing, rock climbing, you name it. I got into everything, everything you can think of. I've done at some capacity just to try it at least once. And so I did a lot of sports growing up. That I helped them with their business, not in the beginning, too young to help at that early stage. But once my parents opened up a physical therapy clinic in Baltimore, then I started to help in the sales and marketing side, which was where I started to cut my teeth on some larger style sales and marketing types of things. But I was always trying to make money. My parents always tell the story that one winter, I was just at home and I was like 11 or something, 12 maybe. And typically when snow falls, I'm ready to go sled. They said, snow fell. You looked at it at the snow and you asked us if we had a shovel. And we said, yeah, we got a shovel. And you grabbed the shovel and you left. That's what they said to me. I don't even remember doing this.
Okay.
And they're like, you came back with money. And I was like, yes, somewhat familiar, I think. And later, after that story, I don't remember that starting it that way. But yeah, I just went and knocked on doors and see if people wanted their snow shoveled. And then it became a regular thing every winter. And the same people we shoveled snow for, as soon as summer came, we started washing their cars and cutting their grass. And so that was like income, from a very early age, that I kind of enjoyed, being able to spend my own money, which was all spent on candy and ice cream truck and candy. I don't even remember buying any toys. I think that was all through gifts, like holidays and gifts and stuff. But I think all I spent my money on was candy. It's really it. So that was the sort of the early growing up part.
Do you have any siblings or brothers or sisters, or just you?
I have a brother. Yeah, I have an older brother. He's 2 years older than me.
Okay.
His name is Evgeny Jean.
Yeah, you mentioned
or Zhanya. Yeah, he's also big into sports. So I followed. I just followed him into all the different things he did. He didn't get as diverse as I did in sports, but his thing was soccer. That was his number one, but he was good at everything also. And so I sort of followed him. He did swimming and I did gymnastics. He did gymnastics for a little bit. And, I kind of followed him into that, but he's academically one of the most talented people I know. Great story about my brother, a couple great stories about my brother. First of all, he was the guy that slept in class and got straight A's.
Oh man.
It was nuts. Like literally he's in all, GT and AP classes, whatever you want. And my parents would get calls and, I was the one that would get in trouble in school. They got calls for a different reason, but every time he got a call from school, it was, we know he's smart, but he can't just sleep because other kids do it and they can't do what he does. So you got to ask him to not put his head down in class. And my dad was so the old school Russian dad was like, is he getting A? Yes. Then who cares? Right? Like just like so clearly, like why are you calling me if he's getting straight A's? And like if the other kids can't do it, then you talk to the other kids. Don't bother him. Yeah. But no, of course that wasn't the case. It was like he's got to keep his head up. Like he can't just lay down in class. And so he would get straight A's. He got like, a crazy high score in his SATs, full ride to a big college on his academics. And so I was the opposite. I just wanted to play all the time. I wanted to find something fun to do. And if it wasn't fun, why are we doing it? Type of mentality. And so, and hated tests. And so funny story, when it came to SATs, I called my brother who looks very similar to me. Similar build, similar height and everything. And I said, it was funny because it was I think SATs were like on a Saturdays, right? Am I getting that right? Like it was on a weekend. It wasn't a weekday. I don't know if I'm getting those things mixed up. Long story short, I called my brother and I said, I need you to go take my SAT for me. He's like, what? I said, I need you, because he had moved out somewhere at the time. Yeah, he had moved out or living with, it doesn't matter. I said, I need you to take my SAT for me. He's like, all right. So I gave him my ID. He went in, got me an amazing score. Definitely not the score I would have ever gotten. I get placed into these high classes and I'm like, no. I said, No, that was not the intention. The intention was just to take it. I don't need all these high classes. And so they said, would you, well, you can take a placement test if you want, instead of, and choose. And I said, okay. So time to take the placement test. I go, Gene, can you take the placement test? But don't try so hard. Like take it easy. He's like, why don't you just take it and place where you're supposed to place? I said, no, because then they're going to be like, what happened? Yeah. Right? It's completely different. I said, take it, but don't do as well. And he did, and he didn't do as well on purpose. And so I got to get into the classes that, they didn't want. What they said to me is like, we don't want you to downplay your abilities. Yeah. And I said, I got it. Let me just show you that, I really studied hard for it was just a funny thing. So he took both of my hardest tests for me. And then I stayed for a couple of years just to play soccer. And then after soccer, I started my first business, which is
what school was this in?
This was a community college in Maryland called Catonsville.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So then after a couple of years, you said you left and you started the first business.
Yeah. So I was 19 or 20 when I finished playing soccer, and it was like continue school or go do something I really enjoy, and that is making money. Like at the time, I didn't know how to really. I didn't know how to put into words what I was really enjoying. It wasn't the money; it was the building, it was the creating, it was the fun of creating something new. And so what happened was I was in school. And I was helping my mom with their physical therapy office in Baltimore. And what I was doing is sales, right? So I was meeting with attorneys and showing them why they should send their auto accident and personal injury cases to our clinic and not another clinic. And at one point, there was an attorney that asked about an office in DC. They're like, hey, I've been really enjoying our relationship. Do you guys have an office in DC? And I said, no, but why do you ask? And he said, well, Baltimore's peanuts compared to DC. If you think there's a lot of business in Baltimore, DC is a whole other level. Mm-hmm. And I came back to the house, and I said to my parents, I said, can we open office in DC? And they're like, well, we can't, because we have we can't do it because we're in business here in Baltimore. But we have another group that's been asking to invest in us, but they can't because we're invested here. They said, they'd be willing to invest in another office, and they have a non-compete that says, if you're within 40 miles, you can't open up an office unless it's with the existing partners. And so DC was like 44, 46 miles away from where the office was. Perfect. So I said, I'll run it. I said, I have no problem. I was 20 years old. I said, I got no problem. I'll run it. They said, you think you can do it? I said, please, what's there to do? We're hiring all the doctors, all the physical therapists. All we need is an office and marketing. And I've been doing that for you for the last 2 years. I got it. And it's not like you're going anywhere. I can still rely on you for support, right? Like, yeah, of course. So, we opened up an office. I was a partner. The investment team that wanted to participate was the other partner. And that was the first office. That was the first venture into business.
So you moved down to DC?
No, crazy story is I just drove to DC from Racerstown every day, which was sometimes 2 hours. And I literally would sleep on the side of the road to let the traffic pass and then get back. Like if something happened on the road, I'm like, I'm not doing this. I would get up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, get on the road by 6:30 and to be there by 8:30. Right. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're still in traffic. It's like, I found myself sleeping. Literally I would go out, cause I'm young. I would go out in DC, right? On like a Thursday night, go back to the office, to the clinic, sleep on one of the therapy beds, wake up. We had, now that I think about it, I just literally, I had my toothbrush, toothpaste and everything in there, but there was no shower. Right. So I would just brush my teeth, put new clothes on, and then I'd be in the office early because I slept there and I didn't have to take the drive. And so that would happen every once in a while, just to make sure that we were there on time. So that was, that was quite an adventure. Then we opened up a second office in College Park. Then we're in the process of opening up a third office in Silver Spring. And that's when I was like, I'm bored. Like, this is boring. Mm-hmm. And so everything happened beautifully, and it was So funny. My buddy calls me, like literally as I'm getting bored with this business, I get a phone call. And it's one of my best friends. And he goes, "Hey, I got a business idea to run by you." I said, "Okay." He's like, "Somebody came to my college." And at the time, so, I was probably 22 at the time. He was 22 and he was just in his last year of college, I think, or going to junior. I don't remember, something like that. And he goes, he's like, this guy came to our class and talked about this business idea about printing supplies. I said, "Okay, let's keep going." Because right now I'm not quite sure I'm following. He said, "Yeah." He said, "If we can bring him empty toner cartridges, okay, he will pay us for those toner cartridges." I said, "Why would anyone do that?" Well, and he explains, like, what he does is he refills them with new toner cartridges. I said, "He's going to give us money for like trash?" He's like, "Yeah." I said, "All right, sounds awesome. I'm in." And so I wound down my partnership at the physical therapy office with my partner, sold my shares, took a lot of money out for a 22 or 23-year-old at the time, wasted it all instantly. And not instantly, but had a lot of fun with it. Let's just say that. And what happened was, about 6 months into this, and this is true, the guy really did what he said. We went and we had this awesome strategy. Being college kids, here's what we did. We knocked on businesses' doors and we said, "Hey, we're starting a recycling program. So instead of you putting this in the trash, we'd like to help the environment, and we'd like to take these toners and recycle them," which was true. We were recycling them, but that's not why we were doing it. Sure. And so all of these businesses seeing these young faces from college doing this nice thing, they could have returned things to HP and Brother and gotten discounts on their next toner, but no, they wanted to help these college kids. And so here we are collecting boxes and boxes on a weekly basis. We're driving around collecting boxes. Max, my business partner, Max, and my friend, his garage at his house was stacked to the ceiling. This truck would back up. We'd count it was so funny. We would count spending money in toners. We're like, "Hey, you want to go out you want to go out to New York and get a table at a club?" Mm-hmm. "Yeah, that would take 140 toners." "Okay, let's go." We weren't counting cash. We were counting toners. All right. And so, we did that for like 6 months, 8 months tops, something like that. It wasn't long until we realized that this guy was right. He told us his strategy. He's going to sell them. He's going to refill them and sell them. And, we were like, okay, so he's going to refill and sell these. We know before anyone knows when someone needs toner. Why? Because we just collected the empty. We're the first ones that know they need another toner. So why, instead of selling it to him for $20 that he's going to sell for $100, why don't we just sell them for $100? Why don't we get the empty toners that he's refilling himself and sell it back to our own clients? So we just recycle and refill. Yeah. Here we go. Profits went up instantly. We're like, "Hey, would you like to buy your toners from us now?" Boom, went up. And then we said, our clients started to ask, "Hey, my printer is broken. Do you guys have anyone that does service?" And we're like, "Of course we do." Right? Start calling people who does service. Okay, finally found somebody service. Again, revenue, profits went up. We're like, we're not just recycling, we're also now selling toners. But for me, that was boring also. I got bored within like a year and a half, 2 years. Not even, probably, yeah, maybe 2 years. Just got bored. And by the way, in the process of us having this, well, actually, that happened right after. I'll tell you this story in a second. So we went from printing supplies to being bored in that to, I will never forget. I forget her name, but I'll never forget the conversation where this really started me on the trajectory into businesses that I love. We were sitting in an office, and Max saw these business cards sitting on this lady's desk that we were selling toners to. And it was just black and white business card, white card, her name on it. And Max asked, he's like, "Where do you get those cards from?" She's like, "Oh, I order them from Vista or something like that." And he goes, "It's just got your name. There's no color. There's no design. You're such a personality. Like, have you ever thought about maybe designing new cards?" And she said, "Oh, I'd love to." And we're like, "Can we take a crack at it? Can we design something new?" She's like, "Sure." So Max knew a guy that does graphic design. We call him up. He designs a card, designs a logo. And she goes, oh, I love them. How much? We're like, $250. She's like, all right, how many cards does that come with? We're like, 100. We have no clue. And she goes, okay, I'll take it. We're like, hold on a second, time out. We just paid a designer $50 to design this and just sold it for $250. Who else is willing to do this? Called up a couple of more clients when we were going up to see them for toner, asked them if what do they do with their business cards, logos, postcards, brochures, mailers. They're like, yeah, we're open to, all of this stuff. We're like, oh, this is way more fun. This is way more fun, and the profit is crazy. We got a 20-30% profit margin on these toners and these supplies. We're like 5xing our cost on this. And so we changed our business. It was so cool. We changed it from maximum office solutions, right? Printing supplies, all that maximum office solutions, to bringing it together, MOS. And then we just added the word creative, MOS creative. And the company's still in existence. Max still runs that company. It's going on, man, it's going on a long time. And so started the printing supply, started the marketing company. And that's when my heart just opened up. Like, I'm like, this is for me. Like, I can't see myself doing anything but marketing and communication moving forward. And so I think we launched that company in 2005 or 2005, maybe 2005 or 2006. And then things just took off. We're doing marketing for professional athletes. So we got big brands from around Maryland, DC. We're just doing these fun projects, these $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 websites, these entire branding campaigns, all of this stuff. And in end of 2006, I get a phone call from a buddy of mine that goes, how would you like to own a nightclub? I was like, now we're talking. Give me more. Tell me about it. So the reason he called me, it's not just out of the blue. The reason he called me is because while we're having a marketing company, during all this time, we're out and about. Like we love to go out. And I had done promotions for, if you're in DC, Virginia, if you've been there for a while, you must have heard of a company called Buzz Life. Growing up, right?
Yeah.
Buzz Life is I'm not sure how old you are, but Buzz Life was one of the biggest promotional EDM promotional companies on the East Coast. They had the bee, like the hornet as their logo.
Mm-hmm.
Get Buzz Life, right? So they had the hornet, and so I did that for when I was 17 and 18, right? And so I had the ability to promote. So long story short, he called me. He's like, the reason I'm calling you out of many other people I can call is because you've done this. Like, how to promote, how to get people into a facility. Do you want to own your own business, own your own company like this? And I'm like, absolutely. Are you kidding me? We were 24, 25 at the time. So now we still have printing going on, small bit of printing left. We have a marketing company and we own a nightclub. And so literally the day started like this. On Thursdays, Fridays, I'd get up at 6:30 in the morning. Max and I would get into the office around 8. We were there until about 6:30, 7 o'clock. We'd both go home. We'd both change into our nightclub gear, go to the club, open the club, make sure it's all set up by 10 o'clock to be open, 9 o'clock, 9:30, but people started showing up at 10. And that would be our life for an entire year. That's all we did. Marketing, graphics, printing supplies, nightclub, marketing, graphics, printing supply, nightclub. And then in 2000, when did this happen? It was 2000. So everything is going great. 2000, let me think. 2009. Yeah, 2009. I'm sitting at my parents' house. It was a weekend. I'm sitting at my parents' house and I had an Android. You remember those Android that had the slide out?
Yeah.
Remember those?
I remember those. Yeah.
Right? Just going way back. They were with the whole keyboard. Okay. I'm sitting there and I'm
The
It was like
sidekick, I think.
it was like midday, and I was, what is it?
Sidekick, I think it was called.
Something like, I can't remember,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
you
I know
remember
what
it
you're
was a
talking about.
big
Yeah.
flat, yeah,
Yep.
thick phone, and a commercial pops up. And at the bottom of the screen was this thing called a QR code, right? And we're all familiar with QR codes. And I was like, what the heck is this? And it said, download the app. So I instantly go into my phone. I'm like, QR code. Oh, QR code right there. Okay, QR code scanner. So now I'm sitting on the couch and I'm waiting for this commercial to come back up. So I want to see what this does. It's cool. What is this new thing? It popped up. I ran to the TV, click, right? No pausing then, nothing, right? So I ran to the TV, quickly scanned it. And what do I get? I get a desktop website on my mobile phone. And I'm like, well, that's dumb. Like, what a horrible experience. Like, why would you do that to me? Why don't you just tell me to visit a web? Like, now I got to do the scrolling. I got to zoom in. It's horrible. Instantly a thought kicked in. I'm like, this is a market. This is a market. Everything is going to go mobile. Everything will go mobile at some point, but it's not going to be mobile in a sense of you have a mobile phone that can do this, meaning mobile is going to be a way of life. It's going to be part of everyday life. It's going to exist in communication, entertainment, everything, like instantly, like this downloaded. So the next day I go into the office and we had this amazing developer. His name is Sergi. He's actually working for us still, NASA engineer. I said, I have this idea. I want to build something that converts desktop sites into mobile sites like this. And it was so funny because people are like, that's dumb. I'm like, I'm telling you, mobile is going to be a thing. And it was weeks of convincing. Finally, Serge put together a prototype. And I call a client. This is no joke. Call a client. Say, I got something to show you. I'm going to send you a text in 10 minutes. Click on that text. And I built his website, mobile website, in less than 10 minutes. From this tool that Serge built, just a tiny, nasty looking, horrible, disgusting interface thing. Horrible. It was nasty. In 10 minutes, I built his website. It created a link and everything. I text him. The client calls back and goes, this is awesome. I just touched my phone number and my phone call came up right away. I touched the map thing and I got it takes me to a map thing. It's like, how'd you do this? I was like, it's yours. Like, I'm going to give this to you. Right. I just wanted to make sure that it was something you like. They're like, oh, I love it. We're like, oh my gosh, we're on to like, are you like, this is, and so of course we launched a company called Fiddlefly. Fiddlefly went on to become a great business. Sold my shares in that business in 2014 and decided to just be a family consultant guy, right? Like I wanted to be home, watch my kids grow up and just do consulting. And so before I jump into the further part of the story, is there anything you wanted to jump in with? I don't want to keep going if you had an agenda for some other questions.
No. This is great as far as the trajectory and the history for Sales Boomerang. Please continue, Alex. Yes.
Okay, perfect. So, so what ended up happening is, started a consulting practice called Agency Human. Okay. And I did it for two reasons. Number one, I saw a lot of CEOs be interviewed, and in their origin stories and their stories about life and the advice they want to give other entrepreneurs was they almost all of them, male and female, said the one thing I wish I would have done differently is been around to see my kids grow up. That stuck with me because I had a week, 1 week where my son was born and I didn't see him. We lived in the same house and I came home. I left before he woke up and I came home after he went to sleep. A week. And I remember how bad that felt. I was like, man, that is not a good feeling. And so I said, I don't want that. I don't want that. That's not me. That's not for me. I'm not interested in something like that. It's not for me. I want something different. And so when I sold my shares, I said, I'm going to build a practice from home so that I can see both the kids say their first words and take their first steps, at least those monumental moments. I just want to be home for those big early events that you can never get that back. Like that's it. It happens once. And so I started a practice called Agency Human, and Agency Human was a concept. And my wife did not believe this would be possible. Was a concept built around the idea that People do business with people, not companies. And so if people do business with people, not companies, couldn't we act like humans? Meaning, couldn't we just have a handshake agreement rather than a contract? Because a contract is for businesses. It's not for people. People don't sign contracts. Companies sign contracts. And so I said, honey, I'm going to try something. I'm going to launch this agency, and it's no contracts, all handshakes. And she's like, you're out of your mind. Never going to happen. Like, that's not how people do business. They need security. I said, listen, they have more security without a contract than with a contract. If you don't like what I did, just don't pay me. I don't even have a way to go after you. She's like, you're crazy. Good luck. Well, it worked beautifully. I mean, from day one, I made a couple of phone calls. People knew me with my success with previous businesses locally, instantly started getting business, all handshakes. Well, one of those businesses ended up being a company by the name of Ranking up in your neck of the woods, in Bethesda, Maryland. Okay. Ranking was run by a brilliant guy who, rest in peace, Bill passed away, just a huge inspiration to me. This was not his first rodeo. I think this was his second big company that he's building, and he built a business around business intelligence. Really interesting, right? And the business intelligence that he built his business around was helping niche technologies get their technology into Fortune 500 companies, but not forcefully, at the perfect time. The way they did it was they knew when a Fortune 500 company was in need of a niche technology, and this Fortune 500 company was going to be putting out an RFP, but they got to them before the RFP went out. And they made these amazing handshakes at the perfect time. How they knew that this accounting division of Microsoft was looking for an accounting software to help small entrepreneurial businesses in North Dakota, okay? I have no clue how they knew this information. And still don't know to this day. They got bought by ZoomInfo, okay? But they did this, and I watched this happen. And so I came into the business for one reason and one reason only. They were starting to decline in opportunities. Their lead flow started to go down, and so they needed to rethink their strategy. And ZoomInfo, or no, another private equity firm skipped over them. They said, the reason we're not investing in you is your lead flow is going down. Over the last year, you're down like 33% on opportunities. We can't invest in a company whose opportunities are going down. Even if your revenue is up, your opportunities are down. We know what that means. There is going to be the opposite effect. You're going to start to see revenues go down. And so I was referred to this company because I had helped a local Baltimore-based company just blow up. Like my love, my passion is not about growing, but growing extremely fast. Like, if you're not growing 80 to 200% a year, it's not fun. Like what are we doing here? And so that's exactly what they needed. Bill's like, I need exactly that. So perfect. Thank you. How can you do this? And guess what we did that like? Handshake. 6-figure agreement, handshake. I said, Bill, if this doesn't work for you, just let me go, and you don't have to pay me anything. He's like, I've never done anything like this. I was like, again, you have nothing to lose. You don't like what I do for you in the first day, week, month, don't pay me. That's it. But if you like what I do for you, just honor the agreement, honor what we agreed to for this will cost. And we did. Within 10 months, he got acquired for over $100 million, blew his business up. So here I am. I see a business intelligence company. I'm in like the 8th month. Now we're getting to Sales Boomerang. You ready? Mm-hmm. So I said to my wife that I wouldn't do anything big until both the kids are doing something, walking, talking, and I've seen them have these big moments. Well, it was like clockwork. My buddy Ken, who owns a mortgage marketing company called Monster Lee Group, calls me and says, "Hey, I know you're a free agent. Come do your magic for us and our technology. Like, come in and help us out." I said, sure. I said, I'm in the middle of this other project, but I can definitely help. Came in, met with them, saw the opportunity, and here they go, proving to me that they can do something remarkable with mail. Like, they could predict how many people would open and call their mail pieces. I'm like, that's impossible. You can never know how many people go to a mailbox, rip open an envelope, reach inside, read it, and then actually take action on it. You can never know. It's got to be this percentage this day, this percentage this day. They're like, nope. Like, you want to see? I said, yeah, because they're trying to have me stay there full time. And here I am working with Bill. Bill just got acquired. Bill calls me and says, hey, I want you to be a partner in my next company, but you got to move to Bethesda. So I got all these things. I got Microsoft calling me. They wanted me to run Surface division because when I was doing all the mobile stuff, I spoke with Microsoft. I spoke with Virgin Mobile. I was everywhere. We were on cover of Forbes, everywhere. When we did the mobile thing, it just blew up. And so I had all these offers coming at me, and then this offer from Monster Elite Group. And I'm thinking, like, something feels really good about this, but I can't imagine working for a direct mail company. That sounds boring. But once they showed me that that they could really prove it, they're like, watch, we're going to send out these 10,000 pieces. This is how many calls we're going to get with a margin of error of this percentage. And they nailed it. I'm like, what? Do it. I said, do it again. Next mail piece for another client. They're like, this is how many calls they're going to get. It's going to be off by this many. I'm like, you cannot know that. Did it again. I'm like, what? How are you doing this? How do you know how many people are going to call? They're like, this is our process. This is what makes us good. Now, when I met them, they had 4 employees. You know how many employees they have now? 110. Okay. This is, and well, not met them. I knew them. I actually helped them come up with their first brand and everything when I had the marketing company. So that's why he called me. So while I'm working for them, Brandon, his business partner, says, Alex, I have an idea for this business. I want to call them later leads. Okay. Later leads. What's that? He's like, well, as you know, the conversion rate in the mortgage industry is very low, less than 10%. So that means 90% of people aren't ready to do something. And so what I want to do when people call our lenders and say, hey, I want to do a mortgage, but they don't qualify for some reason, that our clients can put them into what we call a later bucket. I said, oh, okay. And then what? Like, well, 3 months go by and they'll call the customer. They're going to call them randomly? Yeah. And then it all came together. I'm like, I just finished helping a company get acquired for $100 million that could connect a Fortune 500 company with a niche technology that nobody's ever heard of at the exact moment. And we are going to call a consumer about a potential loan without knowing if they can qualify for it. That's silly. Why don't we tell the lender when to call? Not call every 3 months randomly. Why don't we tell them, hey, your borrower has this much equity, or hey, your borrower has this credit, or hey, your borrower has whatever this, we do the research on their behalf and only tell them when the customer is actually eligible to do the loan. It was funny because they were like, it sounds like a good idea, but that's not what we do here. I said, great, let me build it. Let me build it. And the timing was perfect. Technology and mortgage was not really that big at the time. And 2016, we started development. 2017, we launched on Valentine's Day of 2017, as I said earlier. We launched with a campaign that said, the mortgage industry will fall in love. That was the campaign we launched with. We're launching on Valentine's Day. We had 98 people pre-register for this new technology that's never existed. That was called borrower intelligence. I just came from a place that had business intelligence. I'm like, well, if they're a business intelligence company that tells other businesses when it's time to do this thing, then we're a borrower intelligence company because we're telling lenders when their borrowers are ready for a loan. And so 98 or so, 89 or 98, I can't remember the number. Maybe it was 89 people pre-registered. My intention, okay, was to find the one person that pre-registered for this new technology to pay us the day that we launched. And we launched on February 14th. And we had a check from Wendy Thompson for $450 on February 15th. The invoice was issued on the 14th, on the day that we launched. So it was beautiful that it all came together the exact way that we wanted to. And really the rest was history. With the concept of no borrower left behind, people really started to catch on and believe in what we're trying to do. And we went from having me and one developer in 2017. We ended the year with like 4 people on the team and 8 customers. The following year, like 9 people on the team with 24 customers, then 75 customers, 100 plus customers, and we're on our way to over 200 customers, well over 200, close to 300 customers, enterprise customers this year. Voted 101 on the Inc. 5000 fastest growing technology company in Maryland, 6th fastest in the country. Deloitte Fast 500, number 40 something on a Deloitte Fast 500, nearly 4,000% growth in the first 3 years. Just remarkable. We're up to 81 people in the company right now. And it's just It's just a joy. There's absolutely nothing else I could see myself doing in my life right at this moment with the people that we're doing it with. It's the most amazing group of people that I've ever put together, because I've been lucky enough that since 20 years old, I've gotten to choose everyone I work with, right? Like that's just a gift in and of itself. Yeah. And so, yeah, that's where we are. And we're just getting started, right? We're going into our 5th year. We're just getting started. And we have a lot more to give back to this, not just to this industry, but to this world. And so we're excited about those things. So that's where we are.
That's amazing, Alex. What would you say motivates you and drives you today?
It's the same thing I think that's been motivating me since I was a kid, and that is joy. Like so 2 things. And I have it tattooed on me. I have lots of tattoos, but it says on my wrists, always dwelling. Dwelling means doing what I love. Always doing what I love. So what motivates me is that, like, when I stop having fun, I'm gone. I'm out. It's just not good for me. It's not good for anyone. The energy I'm putting out into the world is not good because I'm not having fun. So the result of that is a bad outcome, right? You always want to have fun, or do something that brings you joy. So that's number 1. Number 2 is creating things that the next generation will appreciate. That's a big goal and big mission, is to do things that the next generation will appreciate, right? So just being selfless, not in the moment, not always in the moment, but also thinking ahead for what that's what's coming, right? So those are the things that inspire me. What can we do that has the greatest impact on the greatest amount of people, and you do it from a place of love and not a place of fear? And that's the only thing that always inspires and motivates me today. Maybe that will change, but that's today.
You know, you have such a rich entrepreneurial journey involved with all these different businesses. Well, what advice, Alex, would you give anyone who came up to you, any type of business, tech related, non-tech, service, product, that they came to you and they wanted to start up their own business? What are a few pointers you need to do, 1, 2, 3 items that they should focus on? So
look, you always, following your heart is number 1. That's an easy one that everyone always says. But when it comes to starting a business, it's following your heart, but it's also making sure that there's a market for the thing that you're trying to create, right? So number 1, everything in business, it does at the end of the day come down to timing. Timing is everything. That is the number 1 reason of success of any successful business. It's a Harvard Business Review article that anyone can go pick up and read and see, but that's the truth. It's timing. So number 1, is this the time for this solution? Number 2, outside of needing equipment and materials and like having the need to have someone else to actually start a business or something else, like if you're a chef and you want to make, you want to open up a restaurant, that's a difference. Like you need a large investment. If you don't need that, then my advice to everyone always is start right now. Just start. Number 1 thing is start. Do not hesitate. Do not hold back. Start right now. Because most businesses can start without any need for investment, just your time and commitment. And guess what? You don't need marketing, advertising, websites, logos. That is all BS that everyone tries to sell you. You only need it when you're ready to need it. You don't need that right now. So if you want to start, you have to start. And the way you start is you find somebody that will pay you for what you do. And you don't charge your full price. Our first invoice at Sales Boomerang was $450. Right now, our average monthly invoice for a client is $10,000, okay, per month. That's the average. So you're talking about going from $450 to $10,000 a month. That's because we needed to prove it, right? Was this going to be fun? Was this going to be exciting? Let's not put everything into this. Let's just see if somebody was even interested in doing it. And so if you're starting a business, just start. Just start it. And once you've started it, number 1, you'll find out if you're enjoying it. Number 2, you'll find out if anyone's willing to pay you. And so that's the biggest advice I give everyone is don't listen to, you got to have a SWOT analysis. No, just start. You'll get to that. You'll get to that part, but just start. That's the number 1 advice I can give anyone.
That's great. What do you know now that you wish you would have known at the start of your business career?
You know, what do I know now? That invest in great people early on. Don't settle for second best, third best, because you think this person is too expensive. I can't afford this person right now. It's the exact opposite. You can't afford not to have this person. That's the truth. And so do not hesitate to hire the best people up front. And I mean, this buzzword of culture has been around forever. Build the business around the things that are important to you, right? Don't settle for like, well, I do believe in the environment and helping the environment, but we're going to print everything. Don't do that. Don't lose yourself in your business and your morals get thrown away for dollars. Like don't sell your morals for dollars. That's very important. So do the thing you love, hire great people up front, don't settle, and don't sell your morals for dollars. That's never a good thing.
That's great advice. What's your biggest challenge with your role at Sales Boomerang today?
Well, we just went through a huge fundraise. So I think the challenge is getting used to operating from a place of abundance rather than a place of scarcity, right? We've shoestring budgets, all self-funded, just cutting, out really important things just to make sure we can continue to build the business. And now when you have a significant amount of capital in the bank, you have to think differently. You can't keep thinking like you have to squeeze every penny, because at the place that the business is, if you squeeze every penny, continue to squeeze every penny, you're actually hurting your business, not helping your business, right? It's like you have an infant, you're feeding it baby food. You can't feed it adult food. When you have a toddler, you can't keep feeding it the baby food because it's got to work its muscles, it's the jaws, the teeth. There's not enough nutrients in just baby food or milk, right? Or formula. You have to do things differently. You have to mature with the business. And so I think the biggest challenge right now for me is twofold. Number one, creating space for my team to just do the thing that they love to do and they're better than me at doing, right? And then trusting that it's okay to spend large sums of money to get to the next level, right? And not having that mentality of, we still can't afford to do this, right? Because it's easy to get into that mentality, be like, no, we're still a small business. We're still a small business. We're not a small business. I mean, based on, the regulations of how you categorize small, medium, or large, we're still a small business. But in my mind, we're not, right? Getting into a place where you're doing $20-30 million a year in revenue, it's not a small business to me. And so that's the biggest challenge, is letting go of the old way of thinking, creating space for new way of thinking, and really letting the team, drive the future of the company.
Now that you have this infusion of capital, Alex, what does the future hold for you and Sales Boomerang? What is the next couple of years?
Well, as I told my my director of sales yesterday, in 2022, we paint our Mona Lisa. Not the Sistine Chapel, that's coming, maybe 24, 25. But this year we paint the Mona Lisa. We leave a serious mark on this space in a way that it's never been done before. And so we're gonna build a masterpiece. We are going to be helping. Our focus has been on mortgage lenders, but we're getting into the banking and credit union space in a big way, not just limping in, but going all in on the banking credit union space. Why? Because banks and credit unions offer more financial services than just a mortgage loan. And we are rolling out a solution, not a solution, we're rolling out a message, a mission attached to our existing mission of no borrower left behind, and every borrower in the right loan right now, is this concept of having a financial friend. What does that mean? The financial industry, since I've gotten here in 2017, all they've said is we want our clients to trust us. We want to have a relationship with them, and we want to have good communication with them. Where there's one word that defines all of that: friend. A friend you have a relationship with, great communication with, and you can trust, right? So we want to create a financial friend, not a financial foe, but a financial friend. We want to explain to consumers and lenders, your goal is to have a financial friendship together, but not just a financial friend, but a financial friend with benefits, right? A financial friend with benefits. We like to have fun with our marketing communication here. So a friend with benefits, but a real benefits, things that really are important. And so that is a big mission for us this year, is to get that into the industry. No borrower left behind. It is a movement all on its own. People are printing their own t-shirts, their mugs. They're telling their customers we're no borrower left behind, lending institution. Like this is the industry's mission. Now we want the industry's mission to go even further. Be a financial friend. Be a financial friend, not a foe. A foe is someone that sells something to someone that is in their best interest, not the customer's best interest. A foe is someone that does something selfishly, not selflessly. Be a financial friend, meaning don't spam your customers just because you're trying to push your own agenda. Only contact them when there's a value for them. Don't do the things that foes will do. Do the things friends will do. And so that is a big mission for us. And it starts with banking and credit unions, because we now will help these institutions help their customers with auto. We will literally tell them when their customer is best suited to get a better car, new car, refinance their car, do something with their car that they didn't know they could do. Insurance, personal loans, student loans, credit cards. Like, how do we just eliminate the stigma of I can't trust my bank? Because that's new. That's in the second half of this century that this started to happen. If you go back, bank and community they were already friends. Like, people would come in, shake your hand and say, Otto, this is I knew your dad. What do you need? Oh, you need to borrow a couple bucks to start this new business. All right, we can do that for you because we know your dad. We know your mom. We know you're good in the community, right? That's how it was done. It was a friendship. But that went away with contracts, all the people scamming and all this stuff, right? We're now back to a place where there's so much regulation, so much security in place to protect consumers, that we can go back to being friends. We can go back to just delivering the valuable things and doing it from a place of not for profit sake. Not that we want to eliminate profits, it's still very important, but for people's sake, right? And so this year, what I'm most excited about, and the masterpiece that we're painting, is can we bring back this concept of binding relationships that have been broken over the years because profits was the only thing anyone focused on. And that's why you have so many people, in 2019, there was a great article that said that there was over $1.5 billion in overpayments on people's mortgages because they were sold a mortgage that wasn't best for them. So can you imagine, every month consumers were paying $1.5 billion more than they should have been paying? It's sad, right? And we want to get away from that. And we want to change. There was a great article that the least trusted people in the industry are still car dealers. And on that list is mortgage lenders and other financial institutions. Really, like, how's that okay? And so that's the big thing. That's the thing I'm most excited about, is getting into banks and credit unions and helping them with all their banking customers, not just their mortgage customers.
I love that. Alex, when you're in that busy growing Sales Boomerang, what do you like to do for fun in your free time?
Oh man, I love music, right? So I DJ and make music when I can. A lot of working out, a lot of reading, a lot of time with the kids, drawing. We love to draw a lot. You can see behind me, that's all the kids stuff.
Oh, that's the kids?
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah. So a lot of different art and music, things like that, travel. Last year, we probably had 7 or 8 trips around the country, not all like really far, but like, we went, we saw the country, and we like to do that as much as possible because international travel wasn't really available. So a lot of travel. I speak a lot. If you can't hear, just from this interview, I enjoy this. It's a passion of mine, just being in front of an audience and giving back this way. So I travel a lot for business, and I travel a lot with family. And so a lot of travel there. Cooking, I do enjoy to prepare a delicious meal when possible. So those are sort of the things that I enjoy most.
You mentioned earlier you're moving to Colorado soon. Why the move?
I love Colorado. I love the climate. I love it's all. So I snowboard and ski. So I love all winter activities. I like summer activities too. So hiking, snowboarding, skiing, climate, 300 days of summer. In Maryland, we came back. We went to St. Thomas for Christmas. For 7 days of sunlight, came back 7 days of gray, overcast days. I mean, we didn't see the sun until the 6th day or the 7th day. For a minute, there was a glimpse, and then it's snowing. So, so we love the climate, and because you heard me travel a lot, it's centralized. So right now, to go to the West Coast, it's a pain, right? It's like 5.5 hours, 6 hours. Now it's going to be a few hours. Anywhere in the country is just going to be a few hours. So all of those reasons. I love the area, I love the people, love the climate and the travel.
That's great. Alex, thank you so much for coming on the show. If people want to find out more about you and Sales Boomerang, where can you please direct them to?
I always direct people right to salesboomerang.com. Just go right to our website. You can find everything you need there. Find me on LinkedIn, Alex Kutsishin, or just look up Sales Boomerang. I'll pop up. We do a lot on LinkedIn and give a lot back that way. So that's how they can find us. Awesome.
Thank you again for coming on. Had a ton of fun.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Thank you. I had a blast as well.
Oh, my pleasure. Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.